Hey yo, what's up everybody? Like and hype for that face reveal. More on that later. Now, we're talking about the best teams in Wuthering Waves, and I think I'm one of the best people to talk about this subject because, well, I'm one of the best people. But that aside, I am not a sweaty player. I pretty much pull for vibes and not meta. Now that means that I have numerous characters without complete teams, and I think other players are probably like this too. And also, I build my characters until they're just, good enough. I feel like that's representative of the vast majority of people. There are some people who are a bit more sweatier than others, but I think the things that I'm going to say are pretty much applicable to most players of the game. And I'm just not talking out of my behind. I'm a person who has done the tower many times. Unless I forget. I've completed in-state matrix with S rank every time I've tried it. I've also done all the difficulties of all the tactical simulations in the game. So I'm not just a person who is kind of a casual, but I'm also a person who is kind of accomplished, an accomplished casual, if you will. A point of note is that these teams are all based on what's available to me and my roster of characters. So a more accurate readout might be my best teams. Nonetheless, at long last, let's go ahead and get into those teams, and I'll get into my rationale along the way. So first up, a Furlover team with Choyuan and Cantarella. Now, the beautiful thing about these characters is that they all work together. Additionally, they can all be used successfully in completely different teams, independent of one another. And the best part of all about this team is that you don't even have to use all its members for it to be effective. Furlover in just one of these two characters can be quite effective. Use all three if you just want to overkill or get a really high score in in-state matrix. So, what makes a good team? Well, I think good characters. And I define a good character as a character that has a high ease of use, a character that you can do all their moves and abilities pretty simply. You don't have to worry about counting frames, too much animation canceling. You don't have to worry about counting frames, doing all types of crazy things like counting frames just to get them to function the way you want them to. If there's a character and you only are able to accurately input whatever it is they need to do like 30% of the time, and you fail almost every time, well, that character, maybe it's not the best character for you, or at least you have to practice to be good at him. This is actual footage of me trying whatever button combination is required to make Gion T1.5. But you know who I don't have to do this button combination for? Hiyuki. The next team is a Hiyuki team with Chisa. Now, Hiyuki does insane damage with her partner Chisa. What makes this team great is that you really only need these two characters to make it work. Chisa, well, she's not only powerful in this team, but she's useful in a ton of other teams. And I predicted just how good she'd be way back in her debut patch. According to the data, there is a high likelihood that you already have this character. So you'll probably be able to make this team work should you pick up Hiyuki at any point in time down the road. Now, when it comes to Hiyuki's team, she can be further buffed by bringing in Lucilla. But that's the other great part. You don't even have to use Lucilla. If you don't have Lucilla, it's not going to ruin anything for you. She's still gonna slap. Now, this next team is a bit of a newcomer on my list of favorite teams. It wasn't around until, well, this patch. I'm talking about a Cardathea, Chisa, and Electro Rover team. This team deals a lot of damage and is very powerful. Of course, you can always sub out Electro Rover for a different type of rover, and of course, if you have other characters like Chacona, which I don't, you can always use those or whatever. But for my personal gameplay on my account, Cardathea, Chisa, and Electro Rover are the ones that I feel are best. There are other characters you can pair alongside Cardathea, but this is more of a budget option that is still quite effective. And I think more people probably have Chisa than have Chacona. So if you're one of those people who have Chisa and you happen to have Cardathea, well, you have a team, and this team's focus is on negative status buffs. So how did I find out about this? Well, Chisa finally getting 2 usages in In-State Matrix, plus me being too lazy to want to change my rover's attribute to a different attribute, gave birth to this team. And this newfound team works surprisingly well. One thing you'll notice about a lot of these teams I'm mentioning, a lot of these teams are really budget friendly, and outside of the main DPS, you usually only probably need about 1 other character, and that character is usually good enough and efficient enough to be able to use in other teams. However, what I just talked about is not relevant for this next section coming up. In this next section, there are a group of characters, but they all come with an asterisk, meaning that there's something in every team that kind of keeps it from being as good as it could be, or as free-to-play friendly or budget friendly as most people would like it to be. Of course, this is all according to my experience, and I'm sure you'll let me know your experience in the comments down below, but let's continue. So, the first team I want to mention here is Luke's team. That's Luke, Lene, and Mornier. Luke is fun to play. I love his flashy playstyle. He's really cool, but he doesn't really deal the damage. And he requires a near perfect build to perform well. If anything is off, he's trash. When it comes to his echoes, of course you need your crit stats, but you also need energy regen, or he's going to be able to struggle to ult consistently. You need every other relevant stat you can get as well. And if you don't have his SIG in both Lene and Mornier, well, just don't do this to yourself. I got Lene to use with him. And I don't really regret it because I knew how beneficial Lene was going to be. At the same time, I kind of regret it, but just for the reasoning. You know, it just wasn't worth it for Luke. If you just happen to have all the pieces lying around, this is not a bad character and a bad team. But guys, with an RNG system like this, the character needs to be simple to build. And when I say simple to build, I don't mean that choosing the appropriate set for the character is difficult. What I mean is, does this character require 2 stats to work? Crit rate and crit damage? Like when you build this character's stats, do you have to get 3 stats on each echo that are important? Do you have to get 4 stats on each echo? And if that is the case, you have to ask yourself at that point, are you really that lucky? Are you lucky enough to get 3 of the game's 22 possible stat types on each echo to be able to build that character and make them function the way you want them to? That's a question you'll have to answer, at least until they start giving away free transducers. But until that moment comes, you gotta think twice about this team, man. Next up, the Zani team. Now, Zani and Phoebe have long been a staple in a land where the waves weather, but to this day, we still haven't gotten another Spectral Frazzle teammate to use in place for Phoebe or S-Rover. And S-Rover is just not gonna be enough at this point. I mean, you're going to need a little bit more to make things pop off if you want to use this team, if you want to use this character. Now, I'm not claiming Zani to not be strong, but I'm just saying the facts. People are making videos claiming that Zani is still good, but nobody is claiming that she's excelling with just Rover. She's good, but is she really worth it? You got to ask yourself that question if you don't have Phoebe or plan on picking her up down the road. Next up, I'm talking about Augusta. Again. And I say again because I got flagged for my last video where I mentioned Augusta and I talked about her and her team. But was what I said really invalid? Think about it. You really need Yuno for her to pop off. Sure, Martefi can work to some extent in some content, but more often than not, he's just not going to be enough. And you know what? To those who want to come at me, answer me this. Why doesn't she work with Frolova? Why? Frolova buffs heavy attack damage, but as soon as you switch to Augusta and use her ult, it cancels her move out. She stops, just like that. This is another example of she's good if you already have all the pieces. So if you don't have Yuno, you might want to think twice. Augusta is not as flexible of a character as some others when it comes to team building. And I mean, this could be fixed by releasing new and more up-to-date 4-star characters, but that's a topic for another video. And the last team on this list is going to be Lucy, Rebecca, and Mornay team. Now, Lucy, Rebecca, and Mornay are on this list because, well, one, they're limited time characters. So if you don't get Lucy and Rebecca in their banner, there's a chance that you probably won't ever have a chance to get them again. But secondly, and probably more importantly, is that Lucy is a greedy bastard, and she requires Rebecca at all times, and there are no other exceptions to drop in her place. Meaning that, let's say the previous team we talked about with Augusta, you won't be able to use Augusta with Rebecca, even though they can kind of work together. The reason you can't is because Lucy wants her. Unless you just plan on not using Lucy at all, in which case, I guess, go for it. But for most people, it just wouldn't make sense. Use your Lucy with Rebecca. Otherwise, Rebecca and Lucy are just a solid team. So I guess if you have them, great. And there you have it, the best teams in Wuthering Waves. Now, some of you might notice that, well, something about this video is different. And that is me. I'm here on camera. Shout out to all of you who now know that I have a face. Sorry to disappoint, but I am not an anime character in real life. Tragic, I know. Don't often do this. Actually, I've never done this on this channel, but desperate times call for desperate measures, I suppose. My channel on YouTube is being shadow banned. And just like I've seen with other channels who were previously faceless, like Internet Anarchist, ASAP Science, and The Infographic Show, perhaps this might be a reason that could bring me back into the algorithm. That's pretty much what we're doing here. These channels, the presenter began to show their face, and I suppose that helped them out. I don't know, guys. But hopefully this does work. Hopefully my videos start appearing back in front of the people who matter most. And that's you guys. Many of you guys were telling me in a previous video that you hadn't seen my account in quite some time. You hadn't seen my videos. They hadn't been showing up to you. You guys want to see the videos. They just weren't being served. And I'll said it before, and I just got to say it again. 3,000 impressions on a video that has 9.1% CTR is just insane. A video that has over 100 likes has 38,000 hype points. Like, how does that video only have a couple hundred views? Anyways, folks, that's all I have for you guys today. Until next time, waves.